the accomplishments of the week. So some of you are saying, what is the Friday report? Ha ha, we're going to love the Friday report. Okay, so on Friday, I require that we get a Friday report from everyone on my team that gives me 2-3 things that they accomplished, the win of the week, and the low. So here's an example. Okay, number 2, it reminds the agent the value and the contribution of the assistant. So it reminds the agent the value and the contribution of the assistant. It is a great reminder of the business moving forward or not. So, good morning. Here's an email. Please send me a report on Friday on 5 things you accomplished to move the business forward. Please indicate the week high and the week low. Thank you for contribution to our team. Friday report from Kathy B. Week high, receiving thank you gifts from 2 separate clients who closed escrow last week. We'll get back to that. Week low, having to move 1 closing to next week. 5 accomplishments, 3 new escrows, 3 new buyer referrals placed, successfully negotiated 2 repair requests, 1 short sale escrow closing 1 week early, sent thank you note to seller. Okay, great. So I looked at that and I went, okay, all right. Now, personally, I don't want a thank you gift from anybody. I don't need a thank you gift from anybody. That's nice. So the fact that Kathy got 2 thank you gifts from 2 clients is not a problem for me. However, it became a big problem when I looked at that. I got mad. And the reason I got mad is that Kathy became the winner of the transaction. So I want you to listen to what I'm saying. To be a great executive assistant, it is a team effort. Does Kathy have the dessert? Yes, the dessert is the closing. And you're either going to get served a wonderful dessert or you're going to get a dead rat on a silver tray. So when 2 clients give her gifts and it's not for the team, then she's not using my name or Chris Heller's. Monica and Chris wanted me to let you know that we've got this done for you on the repairs. Monica and Chris wanted me to let you know about this. Monica and Chris wanted me to let you know, thank you for working with us on this. We absolutely were able to solve this. We were able to solve this, not I. So I want you to hear that. And so looking at this, you go, oh, that's great. You got 2 thank you gifts. I was furious. But I didn't come mad because I just said, hey, tell me about this. Okay, let's talk about this. Do you see where I have a concern? And Kathy said no. And I said, let me share with you my concern. Is that they built the relationship with you, and it's Chris Heller's name on the door. And we have to be careful about that. We have to use Chris Heller's name. Okay, so let me stop there. Any questions about that? Some of you are rattling around, so try to be quiet because this is a group call. Any questions about that? Okay, good. Scaring everybody pretty good right now. All right, daily meeting form. In my personal opinion, you should print these off in a color because that way you won't lose them. And at the end of the day, you fill this out before you leave, or you fill it out during the day, stick it in your chair. When your desk is cleaned off before you leave, you stick that in your chair. Those are the things that you need to be doing tomorrow. So today's to-do list. Today I accomplished. Tomorrow I need to do. And so when you do that, you won't wake up in the morning and go, oh my gosh, at 2 o'clock in the morning. I got to remember to do that. Oh, no, I forgot to put that down. I need to do that. So this is a way for you to leave the office, brain dump, as I call it, and be done with your job. Be done with your job. You deserve to go home, be with your family, and relax. This is a stressful, out-of-control business because we can't control buyers, sellers, the lenders, the interest rate, Obamacare. We can't control anything. So the thing we can control, though, is what we do each day and when we do it and how we perform. So this sheet will make your life easy if you think about it. So a lot of my assistants in the office have this on a clipboard, and this is what they use. So, for example, process new listings on Cobalt Street. Call Kennedy Termite. Call 12 sellers for sellers for weekly update. Check in with agent at 11 o'clock. Call buyers on Saxony Road. You know, today I accomplished. Call sellers, termite report, buyers okay. Because the key thing is that you want to move this forward. and tomorrow I need to. So if there's anything like Call Kennedy Termite Iris Avenue, for some reason you can't do that because Iris Avenue didn't want them to call until next week. So okay, I'll move that till tomorrow. I need to move stuff around, but at least you have a list going forward. All right, so that's really a key thing. So I want you to look at that, and obviously you can make this better, and I hope you do. Format, the blueprint. All right, weekly meeting form, okay, on page 8. So each week there is a listing goal. There is a listing sold goal, and there is a buyer sale goal, and a contact goal, project goal. Now that could be where you come into place. Marketing goal, review listings, review pendings, price reduction goal, database goal. You always want to be knowing how many people are in your database. Database is the only asset an agent has. It's not their Louis Vuitton bag or their Lexus or anything like that. It is all about the database and growing that database with names, phone numbers, and email addresses. So that's why that's critical on there. So you have to have your weekly goals, and then you have to be accountable for what happens that week. Okay, now let me go through the next form. So on Fridays, I get a little weekly update from my assistant. Then the next thing is the weekly listing update. So let me share with you about the weekly listing update. All right, every Friday at 10 o'clock, in my chair goes the update on listings. Now, this one is abbreviated because I have the seller, I have the phone number, I have the address, I have the zip code because we cover all of San Diego County. I have the price reduction date, the current price, the listing date, the expiration date, and the original price, and how many days on the market. So when a new listing goes in, it goes on this spreadsheet. And every 7 days, my assistant, Deborah, adds 7 days. So next week it'll be 37 days. So next week it'll be 44 days, and then 51 days, and then 58 days. So, but I can immediately see where the listing's at. I've got the phone number if I need to call them. And then the other thing that's critical is the expiration date. If we're a month out on the expiration date, my assistant will yellow that out for me. So when I see yellow, I go, oh my gosh, I got to get this thing figured out. Now, side note, in this market, I don't have expiration. Everything sells in a day or two. We have a very, very fast overdrive market right now. Do we have some on the market past 30 days? Sure. Their motivation is quite slim right now, but the market will catch up to them eventually, or they'll break down at some point, so I'm going to hang in there with them on a few of these. The key on this is that if your agent, this is what I'm trying to get at, being efficient is removing questions from your agent bugging you, saying, so when is that listing on Timothy Lane expiring? Isn't that coming? How many days has that been on the market? Hey, can you get me the phone number on Timothy Lane? So when was the last price reduction I had, and how much was it? What was the original price? So if you look at this, I can eliminate about 10 questions so they're not bugging you. Now the key is that you've got to say to the agent, if I put it in your chair, you know, is that going to be where you want it? Now, in some cases, maybe you can put it on a bulletin board and say, every Friday I'll change it. You'll have the information so that efficiently you don't have to ask me to stop and look up this information for you. Ha! What a great idea. All right, turning the page. The weekly pending update. So, in my world, I get this at 10 o'clock on Fridays. And I get a list of the seller, the property, the closing date, the phone number, the second phone number, and the price. Now, if there's problems or questions, then I'm going to be having a meeting, obviously, with my closing coordinator. We have those discussions on a daily basis. However, I just need I need to see when our closings are and what's going on. That way I'm not saying, hey, what's going on with this? When does that close again? How many closings do I have for August? How many do you have for September? I can count them up. I can see where the closing dates are. I can see where we're running short, and I'm going, uh-oh, we got to get some sales here, so I got to start working on September now. August looks good, but September, we got to start getting those going for September. So when you look at this, this is how you build an effective business. So please listen to what I'm saying to you. If you do these kind of spreadsheets, and every time that you have a new pending come on, you put it into the spreadsheet, you print it out, you give it to your agent once a week, this is going to save you a lot of grief. They're not going to say, well, how many closings do we have left for the month? How many closings did we have? And what's closing next week? Do we have any closings, around the 15th? The agent works off of knowing, because most of them, not, I shouldn't say most of them, but they're commission salespeople, and most of them don't know each week what kind of money's coming in or not coming in. So a lot of agents do that. And this is one way that they can figure it out. Now, some people have taken this form and put the commission dollars on there so the agent can clearly see what it is. And that's fine too, all right? Okay, so before I move on, any questions about those two forms? Because the weekly and the pending form, the weekly pending and the weekly listing form, will change your life if you'll put those into place. Any questions?
So, weekly pending, this is Alicia from
Yes.
in Dallas.
Uh-huh.
The weekly pending update, can you also use it as a board?
You can, but is that a board that your agent's going to see so they don't ask you a million questions all the time?
Yes, because we have a board now, and that's like her Bible.
Okay. So that will work if your agent will work. My board is on the hallway, not in my office. So that wouldn't work for me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we have a huge board in our office that covers the entire wall. And this information needs to come to me so I can see it on Friday and I know exactly where we're at. Okay?
Okay.
But if your agent sees the board, then that's fine. If they're sitting by the board, I think it's fine.
Yeah, because it's just me and her, so.
Okay, good. Then I think the board's great. All right, good. There was another question, please.
Yes. I have a question.
Yes, please. You are, and from where?
This is Elizabeth from New York City.
Oh, New York City. Great. Okay, Elizabeth.
I just had a question. With these lists, right now we keep track of all our listings, kind of like what we have here. But at what point do you move that listing out? Like when you close the listing, do you move it to another list and you keep those in your history?
Okay, great point. And I should have brought that up. Thank you, Elizabeth from New York. I appreciate that. Okay. So when we list a property, it goes on here. If it goes under contract, it immediately comes off of the listing list. It's not a current active listing because the contract has been ratified. If it gets an offer on it, it stays on the list until it has a completed contract on it. So just because it has an offer on it, it does not come off the list. So listings are active listings with not an accepted offer. If it has an accepted offer, then it goes to pending. Okay?
Okay.
Great.
And
Thanks,
then
Elizabeth, for that.
Does pending go to close? Do you keep track of all the close?
Yes. Now, pending is, okay, pending means that this is money not yet received and it's in the closing process.
Correct.
And so we keep a list of the pending. Once it's closed, then, we have a whole nother system for closings, between the KW, Market Center, and all of that stuff. That's a whole nother deal. The key thing for most agents, Elizabeth, and these are great questions that you ask, they need to know immediately what's going on. If you guys will hear me today and understand that when you give a list of the listings that are available for sale right now, and you give a list of the weekly pendings, what's going to close this week, next month, whatever, and you give a list of what's under contract that has not closed, the accountability for that agent is huge. It's like staring them right in the face. Boom, there it is. A lot of agents, believe it or not, like to live in the unknown. They're like an ostrich because they're salespeople. They put their head in the sand, and they're not going to pull it out until there's a crisis. and so it's good for agents to know exactly where their business is. It causes them to behave better. Imagine that. All right, good. Any other questions, please, before I move on?
This is Casey with the Collins Group in San Antonio.
Great, Casey. I love these questions. Tell me, how can I help you?
How would you, because we have multiple agents in the office, how would you recommend allocating, just throwing another column in to separate which agents have which contract, or?
Well, here's my thought process on that. When you have a lot of agents in the office, now, is this on one team or they're all separate?
We're all on one team.
You're all on one team? Then I would have a column that says salesperson and just put their initial.
Okay. Perfect.
And that's what we do in my office. We just put the initial, PAMC whatever.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Okay, you bet. Thank you. All right, good question. All right, any other questions, please?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
My name's Debbie Hayford. I'm with Keller Williams in Summit, New Jersey.
Okay, good.
If we have like a lot of listings that we're working on but they're not active yet, I mean, would you still stick that on the weekly listing update, or would you make a separate spreadsheet for?
No, I would. If they're not active yet, then then you need to figure out with your agent. It still needs to go on there because they are signed listings, but they're being staged or whatever. Correct?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So where it says current price and listing date, it still has that listing date, right?
Yes.
And it still has the expiration date. And so, you might want to have a column that says active or non-active. So there's a lot of people that I coach that, especially in the luxury market, they'll sign listings, but the house won't go on the market for 30 days. So if you have those kind of listings where they're not active for a while, then you should have another column that says active or non-active.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Good. So these are great questions. So you guys and gals see what's happening is that I gave you a great blueprint and then customize it, tweak it for what is appropriate in your market. We rarely have non-active listings. I mean, we try to get them up there as fast. But that's a great question on that. All right. Any other questions before I proceed? All right, moving on. Okay, so turn the page. The monthly meeting. Okay, so here's some thoughts, and you guys can be in charge of this. On the monthly meeting, we have an affiliate that brings us lunch for our monthly meeting. And on our monthly meeting, we do the book report. We have a book we read every month, and everybody's required to do a book report. And share with what they learned out of that book. The second thing that I think is so important in the monthly meeting is to acknowledge people who did great things. I'd like to acknowledge, Stephanie. Stephanie had a positive attitude the whole month. She jumped in and helped when people were sick, not coming to work, and she's able to do this and do that. So we always want to acknowledge people who do extraordinary things. Now, we talk about what the goal was. So our goal every single month is that I am to take 20 listings. So, for example, this month took 15, didn't take 20. Listings taken is that we have a goal to take also 15 listings. So I basically did that. Wanted to go on 20 listing presentations, but I did take 15 listings because some of them, not to get too complicated, were listings that I'd had appointments before the month before, and then they came through. All right. In escrow, so that means who's got an accepted contract. So if your goal is 8, then what did you actually do? Was 6. Then you go to close numbers where our goal was 8, we closed 6. So all of a sudden you can see, okay, we're not meeting our goals. So what is it? So then in these business meetings, we start to analyze what is it going to take to increase our numbers? Where have we dropped the ball? So in some cases, FSBO contacted expires. In some markets, there are no expires. So we're going back to past expires back to 2010. People Farm contacted, past clients contacted, buyer calls, buyer sold. Always want to know how many calls came in. Also want to know buyer sold. Of course, And then if we're not getting the number that we're supposed to do for buyer souls, we start looking at that going, okay, what's happening here to our conversion rate? If we got, 100 leads and we only converted 7, something's wrong here. We should be converting, at least 15 to 20%. And so therefore we have to look at what we're doing and change that. Number added to database, always a good thought there. All right, turn the page. Agent assistant year-end mastermind, or it could be quarterly. So this is a year-end, but it could be quarterly. All right? So what I want to share with you about this, if you were CEO of my company, what would you do differently? Why? How would you implement? So each quarter, you as a great assistant would give this out to everyone a few days before the meeting, including buyer agents, affiliates, everyone. And you absolutely come to the meeting prepared. You don't give this out at the meeting, say, let's talk about this. Bring 2 success stories. It can be, sorry, I have a cold today. Bring 2 success stories that can be about a system or client related to share with the group. There's nothing so great about success stories. We have fun success stories. I'm a Dave Ramsey ELP, which means endorsed local provider. Went out on a listing presentation, and I go with Aaron in my office, the listing specialist. We go together, and we're at a Dave Ramsey interview for a listing, and they had 2 other interviews, of course, that they're going to interview. And in the conversation, they said, we even had time to buy boxes or do this or do that. Aaron took the initiative, which was really fun. Went out, spent $25, and bought boxes, tapes, and pins and dropped it off on their doorstep and said, here, we wanted to, help you with your start. We look forward to talking to you later this week, because they had other interviews. We got the listing, and I think part of it was because we delivered the boxes. Just an idea. All right, give me 2 ideas on ways you think I can improve customer service. Give me 2 ideas on ways you think I can increase business. Give me 3 ways to decrease expenses. Give me 2 ways that as a team we can be more effective. Great ideas from great assistants who see what's going on all the time. Agents love this kind of information. How can I help bring 1 referral to the team every month? So you as great admin people, people who you have lots of contacts. Somebody's going to buy or sell, or somebody is going to buy or sell. You just have to make sure that they contact you. And what are 2 challenges, problems you'd like to mastermind with the group? So this is a great form to work off of once a quarter. All right, page whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the pages. I'm just going through this. Okay, this is going to the honeymoon checklist. This is page 13. 3-week honeymoon of communication. All right, so, okay, when a seller lists a property, they're excited, and they're also anxious, they're also depressed, it's a lot of work, and there's a ton of unknowns. And when that agent leaves the house, no matter how good that agent is, there is still doubt. Did we do the right thing? Was this the right thing to do? Should we have interviewed another agent? Is this the right agent? I think it's the right agent. I'm pretty clear. I feel good about it, but I'm not sure. So here's what happens. In the first week, you have to over-communicate. So I usually make sure, and I say to an assistant, when a brand new listing comes in, communicate every day for the first 5 days. Will that listing feel like they're important? Will that listing feel like they didn't get lost through the cracks? Will you do the right things, if you touch that file every day the first 5 days? Absolutely. So 3-week honeymoon of communication. Assistant to call within 24 hours of receiving listing, or sooner. 3 o'clock rule. If listing is presented to the assistant before 3 o'clock, a call will be made immediately to new listing. After 3 o'clock, then the assistant will call the following morning before 10 o'clock. As an agent, I know that if I bring in a listing after 3 o'clock, I've said to the seller, my assistant, Renee, or Deborah, whoever I put in charge of the file, they'll be calling you tomorrow morning before 10. And then they do it. Thank you for listing letters sent within 48 hours with Chris and Monica's signature. Assign buyer agent to call and preview within 48 hours. Monica to call and thank, ask for referrals within 5 days of listing. Just calling is part of my customer service. How are we doing? Great. Renee's talked to you. Great. We're excited. We're working hard. Blah, blah, blah. Email copy of MLS printout to seller. Send to both husband and wife. Get both of their emails. Assistant to call seller and provide code for the property if you use an 800 number. Send PDF or hard copy. Get seller's preference of listing agreement. Some of my little 80-year-old people, they want PDFs and some don't. Order termite report and send email confirming appointment. Order termite report. So that's what we do in our area. So basically, you have about 7 or 8 contacts in the first week. Do you think that seller feels good? We've also called and said the sign will be up on Tuesday. Here's what's going to happen next, blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Great. Week 2. Remember, you listed your property. You're not sure. Assistant to call seller and review MLS printout. Okay? All right. And the reason is, in disclosures, is that you want to check for mistakes. Email links to the website. Assistant to call and review showings with the feedback. Assistant to call seller every Tuesday and Friday with market statistics and updates. Assistant to send out 250 just listed letters to the neighborhood. Assistant to send out copy to seller. Assistant to send out link to our top 50 agents who write offers with us and send a copy of the email to the seller. Okay, week 2, at least 2 or 3 communications. Now, some of you who carry a lot of listings, I know this is a lot, but the first 2-3 weeks are the most critical because the goal is to get them sold within 2 weeks or less. If it's not sold within 2 to 3 weeks or less, it is a price issue. All right, so week 2 sounds pretty good so far. Now, on week 3, we send out a new CMA. We send out a copy of our plan of action, which you'll be getting, 25 things that we do to sell property. And each one of those items will say, done, 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 and checked off by my assistant. We then send that to the seller also. So week 3, they get a new CMA, and it says that we've done all the marketing. And so when I call, I say, based on the fact that we know our marketing works and homes sell because of our marketing, the only thing we're testing is price. Obviously, the conversation we have to have is what it's going to take to sell your home. Here's my recommended price for your home. Okay, we also give them information, how many showings they've had, how many 800 calls that they've had. We give them concrete information. Based on their personality styles, the analyticals love it, the drivers go, what's the bottom line? Well, we've had probably 32 contacts in 3 weeks, and no one has bought your property, and no one has made an offer. So we have to look at the price. All right? So that is that part. Now, just if you looked at that and you followed that system where you are over-communicating the first 3 weeks with a listing, and you're making outgoing calls, what happens efficiently is that you're not going to get the incoming calls because you're working efficiently with outgoing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So over-communicating helps you stay in control of the incoming call. All right. Next one. If you look at the 3-week seller escrow checklist or closing checklist, now, on this particular one, which I think is important, is that, you know, it's an introductory call from assistant, email from assistant with contact information, congratulations letter, copy of executed contract, call the selling agent with update on escrow opening, that's a big one, with an email follow-up, assistant to call and touch base regarding contract, the next steps, contingency removal, and we also have a letter going. You'll get a lot of these letters too. A call from me saying congratulations. Now, the first week something goes into pending, you know, under contract, whatever you say in your world, they have to be called every day for 5 days. One is they're under stress and they only listen to 25% of what's being said. So I want you to write to the side of this, call, email, call, call, email, call. So you call them, you introduce yourself, you tell them what the next steps are. You send an email saying what you just said. And then you call them the next day and say, did you get my email? I know that was a lot of information. What's going to happen next? Call, email, call.
So I Googled it,
right,
and I
if
saw
you
like
follow that,
Hollywood candy.
how
or something
well
like that.
do you think? How well do you think that client will feel if they got a call every day the first week?
Be good.
Absolutely. You're on top of it. They
Yeah,
feel
because there's
good.
3 people on the
They
contract.
feel important. They don't feel like they got lost through the cracks. What drives me insane is when I find out, happened in my office a couple of times, doesn't happen anymore, that we have a system that gets bogged down in that these people don't get called for 2 days. And then I get a call saying, hey, we haven't heard anything. And I go, gosh, I apologize for that. Let me check. And then, of course, I go nuts. And I go, what's going on? We got this seller. What happened here? Well, you've got to call them immediately.
Their agent, though?
So if a file gets on your desk at 4:45, you call that seller and say, hi, Mr. Seller, congratulations, your home is in escrow, it's under contract. I will call you tomorrow around 10 o'clock. Will that be good for you? Then we'll go through all the particulars. If you get a voicemail, you say that. The second that file shows up on your desk. Now, if you're gone and the file shows up at night, those are going to be the first things that you do. So remember, it's all about a sense of urgency for the seller, but it also, to be a great assistant, it's about you paying attention and doing the best possible job on customer service, because ultimately, it's repeat and referral business. And there's a statistic out right now that 66% of all real estate clients don't want to use their agent again. Whoa! Not a Keller Williams agent. I'm sure that's just a RE/MAX.
Yeah.
66% do not want to use their agent
So we had a lot of
again.
people
Well,
go
no
out.
one on this call, because we're going to do call, email, call. We're going to do the honeymoon checklist.
like
Week
it?
2. Assistant in call, setting up times, confirming times for the home inspections, etc. Assistant to call and set stage for negotiating repairs. Assistant to send out just sold cards, send copy to seller. Assistant to send email updates to selling agent. And you're going to add to these. I know there's a lot more that you can do, but the first week, 5 contacts. The second week, 2 or 3 contacts. Then, if your closing is, 4 or 5, whatever weeks away, third week, not so much, but let's say it's the 4th week. The last week, you are calling every single day again. If you have nothing to say, just want to let you know the file's on my desk, everything looks good, I touch base with everybody, great. Tomorrow we're going to have this go into place, or they should be wiring their money on Wednesday. I just wanted to let you know that. You have to keep them informed. You have to keep them informed. No one is going to call your office and say, need to let you guys know, I'd like to fire you. I'm very upset. You call me all the time with information. Can't handle it anymore. I'm done. Remember, if you're getting a lot of incoming calls into the office, then you're not making the appropriate outgoing calls. So in order to be efficient, stop the incoming calls and make the outgoing calls. Be proactive. All right, week 3. Home inspector report, information furnished to seller. This is to call and negotiate repairs. Well, if you're not licensed and that's not part of your job, then that's the agent's job or whoever on the team. Assistant to send copies of contingency removals to seller. Congratulations letter with confirmation of move-out date. Thank you note from Chris and Monica to agent who sold property.
You guys like those things?
Call from Monica. Congratulations to seller. Contingencies are removed.
Yeah.
So, as you see, the agent is involved, me being the agent, Monica. I'm involved because I want to build repeat and referral. Do I know what's going on in the file? I have no clue. Is it my job to know what's going on in the file? No. I'm the listing agent. I run the team. I expect the person that I have in charge will absolutely handle and own the ship of that file. That's their business. That's their ship. I expect people to do an excellent job. I've given them the tools to do that. They can communicate with me anytime as a great assistant. Always raise your hand and say, I need help, I have a question. However, I want you to own it. All right? So if you look at that, the first 3 weeks, that is going to be super great. Now, I don't know if I told you the story, but it's worth repeating because it's an analogy that I've come up with. So let's say your average commission is $5,000. And you and I are going to go out for a $5,000 dinner. Unbelievable. We have the best of everything. The wine, the entree, the appetizer.
Get it?
Oh my gosh, flown in lobster from
that's
Maine.
exciting.
I mean,
Did you
it's
guys get 'em
unbelievable.
already, like,
You know, Caesar
delivered?
salad,
No,
they're
it's like
making
10
it in
weeks out,
front.
which is good
We
because
can't believe how beautiful
There you
and
go.
wonderful this dinner is. It is amazing. All right, here comes dessert. Oh, how can we do this? This is so great. It can't get any better than this. On dessert comes on a silver tray with a silver dome over it. They place it in front of us. They raise the dome and smile at us and say, here it is, your dessert. And it is a dead rat with chocolate sauce on it. So we're going, we just paid $5,000 for this dinner. This is awful. I want my money back. I'm not paying for anything. This is terrible. So what I want to share with you is that as a listing agent, I can go out there and I can go against 5 agents and I can get that listing. I can bring it back and my listing coordinator does a fantastic job. We negotiate a great offer on the property. The seller is ecstatic. This is great. Things are going good. You're doing what you said you'd do. They expect us to do what we say we're going to do. When it comes time to the closing, unbelievable disaster after disaster after disaster. Not communicating, not giving the information correctly, mistakes on this, mistakes on that, mistakes on this, mistakes on that, and just keeps on going. So they're not too happy. So are we going to get repeat and referral business? No. So what I want you to write down on the bottom of this form is that every client that you close is worth 5 transactions in a 3-year period. So if your average commission is $5,000, is one client is worth $25,000 in 3 years, if it's done correctly. And that means over-the-top excellent customer service with excellent communication. So if you look at these forms and you have incoming calls, and I'm going to say to you, you're not making enough outgoing calls. If you have sellers who are calling you stressed out, then you're not giving enough information with call, email, call. If you have challenges where sellers are calling you and saying, well, I didn't hear you say that, I don't know what's going to happen next, then you've got to make sure you're asking, how would you like me to make sure that we communicate this? Can I type these notes out for you and send them to you? Will that help you? And then you call behind and say, did those notes help you? Are you clear about what happens next on the inspection? So that's called communicating and bending over backwards a little bit, which is just great customer service because we want dessert. We want something delicious, not a rat with chocolate sauce on it. All right. Any questions about the honeymoon checklist? Hey, remember, like in a honeymoon, or like when you get married, and you go, oh, I hope I did the right thing. I'm sure I did the right thing. Of course I did the right thing. And then it's just like listings. I hope I listed the right agent. I'm sure I did. I hope I did. I think I did. Let's prove they made the right decision as great executive assistants, all right? Conversation log. Okay, write this down. The person with the most paperwork going to court wins. I have a super attorney friend who's a judge, and she said the one with the most paperwork wins. They might not be right, but because they have facts and stuff, they're going to win. So, well, I think it was a state. I'm pretty sure it was. That guy could be right, but he doesn't have any facts, doesn't have enough paperwork, doesn't have verification. The person with the most paperwork wins. So when it comes to real estate transactions, anytime someone calls in, it's a listing or a pending, you say, great, Mr. Johnson, let me put you on hold for 5 seconds or 20 seconds. I want to grab your file. Make a note why they called and what was said. When you call them, make a note that you left a message. Make a note that, you called them back, and then this is what was said. You have to document your conversation. Now, that's a key point today, the one with the most paperwork wins if you go to court. So let's expect you never go to court. However, if you do, or mediation, the one with the paperwork wins. All right. So today, too, what I wanted to share with you is that, giving you another form, because a lot of this is putting systems together, is that your buyer agent top clients. So this is an accountability weekly form, going back to your Friday weekly forms, is that your agent should get a copy from their buyer agents every Friday, who they're working with, the area, the price, the lender, the first appointment date, whether it's an A, B, or C buyer. A meaning I'm going to buy in 30 days or less. B, going to buy soon. C, not so sure. Got to cook them out there and incubate them. And source, where did the business come from? So that is another Friday report that your agent should get. The things that I think is just crazy is when I'll call an agent and I'll talk to them and I'll say, so tell me about how many buyers your agent is working with. And I don't know. How many A buyers do they have? I don't know. Oh, okay. So every buyer agent should have 10 great prospects at all times. 10 that are A and B, B moving up to A. And if you have 10, pretty confidently I can say you're going to be guaranteed at least 2 to 3 sales a month. But they've got to have 10 A-B buyers. Okay. All right, gang. So with that said, all right, let's talk about the top 3 ideas here pretty quickly. So tell me who you are, where you're from, and what's your number 1 idea today? What's the number 1 idea? Lots of stuff today.
This is Elizabeth from Kansas City.
Thanks, Elizabeth from Kansas City. What'd you like today?
Today I learned that I am not making enough phone calls.
Uh-oh. Okay, great.
Yeah, I prefer a lot of communication by email,
Okay.
which has worked okay. But to be better and take it to the next step, I need to be proactively calling.
Yeah, and Elizabeth, I'm so glad you said that. Thank you for voicing that, because there's a lot of people thinking that right now that aren't voicing it. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever sent an email and somebody says, I didn't get it?
Yes.
Okay. So if you do call, email, call, and that personal connection, hearing their voice, that you're a real person and not just some, computer person sending them stuff.
Right.
So a lot of emails, sometimes, not a lot, but some don't get there. And so there's nothing like that personal connection. So I'm going to write down number 1. I'm going to say call, email, call. All right? Emails are great to back up what you said because they're under stress. They're going to hear so much. So thanks, Elizabeth from Kansas City. Who's got number 2 idea, please?
Hi, this is Elizabeth from New York City.
Ah, Elizabeth from New York. Yes.
Are there times of the day allotted for different things? So, for example, from 9 to 10, you make your phone calls. From 10 to 11, you do this. Because a lot of times it's easy to get caught up in something, and then something else gets thrown your way, and you kind of forget that other thing.
Right. Okay, so in any of these reports, so for example, having a very specific schedule about these reports too is going to be critical, and I'm going to give you a schedule coming up. But so for example, you will always be busy, but first thing is first in the morning. When you've got a brand new under contract, that gets handled. A brand new listing, that gets handled immediately. And then you call them 5 times the first week. Good. Thank you very much, Elizabeth from New York. Great. Who's got number 3 idea, and where are you from, please?
Hi, Monica.
Yes.
Hi, this is Vicki from Overland Park, Kansas.
Yes, Vicki.
And I was wondering, I had a question on the monthly meeting form where we have goals and actions.
Yes.
The goals, are those made up by the agent, or do we set them as a team?
Yeah, well, usually the agent will spearhead that because the team can't say, hey, we're going to take 50 listings this month. So it has to be done. But, I know what the goals are, but when I have a team meeting, we'll talk about and say, here's our goal based on our business plan. So first is to have a business plan, and then you divide it up by 12 months, and then this is how it's going to work. And then what our goal was, for example, if the listing goal was 20 and we actually took 15, then we're looking at that going, okay, why did we not get 5 more listings? What are we missing here? How was our prospecting? Did we have a mailing going out? Did we have this happening? Did we do our calls? Does that make sense?
So those individual goals then are based on a yearly plan?
Yes, this is for the team, but this can be for an individual agent too. So one agent, so if you have like 4 buyer agents on your team, they should each have their own.
Okay.
And if but as a team, you have a monthly team meeting with the monthly goals, which each person contributes to.
Thank you.
Good. Well, one last question here. So what did you like out of today's call?
Monica, may I add or ask to that last question that was just brought?
Sure.
Could we do, say, like a 411 for the team?
Yes.
Do the same?
That would be great, too. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 411s are great. Absolutely. Same thing. All right. So at that point, what I'm going to say, write down this, and that is to have a Friday report day. So the 411 is great. The Friday report, like I said, the top 3 things that you achieved this week, the wins, the losses, the high point, the low point, whatever. Then the other thing is to give out, please listen to this, put an escrow closing list together. Put a listing list together on a spreadsheet. It'll make your life easier. It'll cut down on conversations with your agent, which makes you more efficient. Get the Friday reports from the buyer agent. So this is all about communicating and getting information for accountability, and it will make your life easier. Okay, good. All right, so homework assignment. I'm really clear what the homework assignment should be. Is number 1, build a weekly listing form. Number 2, build a weekly escrow closing form under contract. Okay? And then number 3, the honeymoon checklist. Really look at those and put those into place. Now, policy and procedure tab suggestions. You guys are going to break these out in so many different ways, so I hate even getting involved in that. A lot of this can go under just communication. One tab could be a weekly meeting because I gave you the format for that and how that works. Another one, and then you could have meetings, and then you could put that in there with your daily meeting forms, your weekly meeting, etc. So you could just say meetings, and you could have your weekly and goal meetings. Your agent assistant year-end mastermind, that could be under meetings also. Under 3-week honeymoon of communication for listings and for escrows, each one of those could go in the escrow tab, or it could go in the listing tab. So a lot of you will break these up into different categories, which is fine. I'm just happy you're going to break it up somewhere. Conversation log will go in each section of the listing and each section of the escrow building and policy and procedures manual. Okay, good. All right, great group. So here's the good news. Next week is the agent call. And if you get the agent on the call, I will make your life easier because I tell them how to behave. So if you get your agent on the call, I will do a great job. So please get them on the call. Call is next week at this time. Put it on their schedule. Email them right now as a reminder. Don't forget, you have an assistant agent call. You need to be on that call. It's for agents only. Okay, great, gang. Good call today. I'm always happy to help you guys. You do a fabulous job. I'm on your side, so get those agents on the call. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week, and I look forward to talking to you in 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.